In 1959, 9 hikers set out on a journey through the frozen wilderness of Soviet Russia. They were young, skilled, and prepared for the harsh conditions, but something happened on the slopes of a mountain known as Kholat Syakhl, or Dead Mountain, that no one has been able to explain. When their bodies were found weeks later, what searchers discovered was nothing short of horrifying. A torn tent, barefoot tracks in the snow, and injuries so bizarre that even experts are still debating what caused them. Let's uncover the terrifying story of the Dyatlov Pass incident. The group, led by Igor Dyatlov, began their trek on January 27, 1959. The 9 hikers were close friends and experienced adventurers. Photos and diary entries show them smiling, laughing, and enjoying their time in the snow-covered Ural Mountains. But by February 1st, everything changed. That night, something forced the hikers to flee their tent into the freezing cold, barefoot. Days later, rescuers stumbled upon the campsite. The tent was torn open, not from the outside, but from the inside, ripped apart in a panic. All their supplies were still inside. Boots, jackets, and food left untouched. What could have terrified them so much that they ran into the wilderness, unprotected, in minus 30 degrees Celsius temperatures? Following their footprints, searchers made a chilling discovery. The first 2 bodies were found under a cedar tree, about a mile from the tent. They were barefoot and dressed only in their underwear. Their hands were burned, as if they'd tried to light a fire, but the brutal cold had already claimed their lives. Then, 3 more bodies were found scattered between the tree and the tent. They looked like they were crawling back to the campsite but never made it. Their faces were frozen in expressions of desperation. But the most horrifying discovery came 2 months later. The last 4 hikers were found in a ravine, buried under several meters of snow. Their injuries were unlike anything the searchers had ever seen. One had a fractured skull. 2 others had broken ribs so severe it was as if they'd been crushed by a car. Yet there were no external wounds, no cuts, no bruises. And one woman, her eyes and tongue were missing. The snow around the bodies was stained orange, and traces of radiation were later found on their clothing. What could have caused this? Over the years, investigators have proposed countless theories, but none of them explain everything. Some believe it was an avalanche, but there were no signs of one, and the tent was still partially standing. Their footprints were also visible, something that would have been impossible if tons of snow had fallen on them. Others suspect a secret Soviet military experiment. Strange orange lights were reported in the sky that night, and the radiation found on their clothes only adds to the suspicion. Was the group accidentally caught in the testing of a new weapon? Was there a cover-up? Then there are the more chilling theories. Some claim it was a Yeti attack, pointing to the hikers' torn bodies and missing tongue as evidence. Locals, the Mansi people, had always warned that Kholat Syakhl was cursed. They refused to go near it. And then there's the UFO theory. Those glowing orange lights seen in the sky. Could they have been something not of this world? Were the hikers running from something no one could ever understand? The Soviet investigation was closed in 1959, with officials concluding that the hikers were killed by an unknown compelling force. But what force, and why has no one been able to fully explain their deaths? In 2019, the case was reopened, but the official explanation, an avalanche, has convinced almost no one. Too many details don't add up. To this day, the Dyatlov Pass incident remains one of the most terrifying unsolved mysteries in history. 9 young lives ended in fear and pain, their final moments buried in snow and secrecy. Was it nature, a government experiment, or something beyond our understanding? The truth is out there, but maybe it's better that it stays buried on Dead Mountain.